So you maybe have thought about the way in which you're going to format a title or the heading. One of the big things you have to also think about, though, is what is the content of the heading. Because remember, generally the heading is the primary focal point, unless you are going for kind of a less conventional approach where you use the data and a big data set to kind of draw people out. It's conventionally the title or the heading is the primary focal point. So this is going to dictate the kind of messaging. So in previous videos referred to the idea about making sure that you understand what the message and the tone is for your infographic. And that comes out very much and is led very much from the heading, as we've referred to in previous videos, about making sure that there is an obvious scan path in terms of the eyes. There also has to be consistency in the tone, and that is set from the title or the heading that you've used for your infographic. So you've got to think about kind of the appropriate approach. Are you going to use a positive or a neutral framing for your audience? And you've also got to avoid exaggerating or the notion of scaremongering. And there are, as you can see here, there are what are called 6 approaches to this: the subject, the message, the question, the fear, the hopeful, and the call-based approaches. And here what I'm just showing you is how you can use the different approaches but with the same topic area. So in the subject approach, notice it's not framed as a question and it's just about the subject. So it's going to be an infographic about obesity in infants. So you see, it's not got a message, it's not got a question, it's just an infographic that is going to be about obesity in infants. So let me show you an example of a subject-based approach infographic. And here's a subject-based infographic. Adult physical activity levels. So it's just giving you an information source on the physical activity levels of, in this case, from the health survey for England in 2012. But it's giving you that data set, so it's a subject. Then we've got the message approach. So the message approach is you've got to get a message out. So here, globally, 1 in 10 children are obese. So you can see that it's different to the subject approach. The subject is quite broad and it's giving you, it's covering the whole topic, I suppose, to a certain degree. Whereas the message one, it's saying, actually, I'm going to lock this into that there is a message here, which is we've got to be careful that globally 1 in 10 children are obese. So let's think about the question approach. So taking the same theme, now the question is, what is the current state of obesity in the UK? So it's asking a question. So it's different to the subject, which is just about obesity, and it's different to a message, which is, globally we've got 1 in 10. So it's telling you some information here. It's asking a question: what is the current state of obesity in the UK? And again, I'll just show you an example of this in a couple of infographics. 400 meters, more aerobic than you think. So it's asking you a question: is it more aerobic than you? How active are we? So you can see that these are question-based infographics, very different to those which are subject-based, for example. Then we get fear approach. You have to be very careful about using fear approach, because as I've written here, you should try avoiding things like scaremongering. But can you see the difference now? So with the fear approach is obesity, an epidemic that will cripple the UK. So it's quite a provocative title. And it's about creating that sense of fear in people to drag them in. So it's not something that is readily used, particularly not in the kind of exercise science infographics that this relates to. But it is quite a powerful way of getting people and attracting people to your infographic. Then you've got the hopeful approach, which is, well, look, physical inactivity, slow, but on the move. So it's kind of the reverse to the fear approach. The fear approach is going, actually, we've got a massive epidemic here. On the hopeful approach, we recognise that, but physical inactivity is a problem. Slow, but on the move. In other words, it's saying, actually, we're making progress. So it's offering you an alternate approach to this, but notice again, it's not framed as a question. And then finally, you've got the call approach, which is you're asking people to perhaps do something, a physical activity. Let's get moving. And it's a great example of that in our example infographic. It's a call. Notice it's not a statement, it's not a subject, it's about physical activity, and particularly when you've got that statement in the middle, which is very much about the kind of the requirements to do the physical activity. So think very carefully when you're putting your infographic together about how you're going to construct the title. What kind of title you're going to be? Does it conform to the themes? Does it conform to the messaging that you want to get across?